Welcome to the Nonprofit Accelerator, brought to you by MatchingGifts.com. We believe every dollar raised can transform both nonprofits and corporations alike. I'm your host, Josh. I'm here to guide you through today's episode about corporate volunteer grants, sometimes called dollars for doers. You know, there's this constant tension we feel in the nonprofit world. On one side, we're scrambling for funds. We're writing grants, planning galas, and sending out appeal letters. Then on the other side, we're hustling to get people to actually show up, to volunteer, to pack the boxes, to walk the dogs. Usually, we treat these as two totally separate buckets, donors and doers. But what if I told you that the biggest missed opportunity for revenue is actually sitting right there in your volunteer list? Today isn't about the basics. We aren't just defining what a volunteer grant is. We are going to talk about how to aggressively and intelligently market these programs to your supporters so you can stop leaving free money on the table. By the end of this episode, you're going to have a multi-channel game plan, strategies you can actually hand off to your team tomorrow to turn volunteer hours into corporate checks. And look, if you've ever felt awkward asking your volunteers for money because they're already giving you their time, this episode is exactly what you need. Because you aren't asking them for a dime. You're helping them unlock money from companies like Microsoft, Disney, and Allstate. So grab a notepad or open up your Notes app. We have a lot to cover. Let's get into it. All right, so before we get into the tactical how-to, define what we're actually talking about here. Volunteer grants are corporate giving initiatives where companies provide monetary donations to nonprofits where their employees volunteer. It is that simple. It enhances your funding, but it also builds this amazing culture of collaboration between you, the corporation, and the volunteer. The problem? Most volunteers don't know these programs exist. And frankly, most nonprofits aren't telling them loud enough. So, how do we fix that? I want to break this down into 4 main strategies based on some really great data I've been looking at. The first strategy is what I call the surgical segment. In fundraising, we know that a spray and pray approach, just blasting the same email to everyone, rarely works. Marketing volunteer grants is exactly the same. You have to segment your audience. Think about it like this. You have existing volunteers. These are the folks already showing up. Your message to them needs to be specific. It should be, hey, thank you for your time. Did you know your employer might match those hours with a donation? Then you have your volunteer prospects, people who haven't signed up yet. Your message to them is different. It's an invitation. You could try saying, come volunteer with us, and by the way, your impact could be double what you think it is. If you want to get really advanced, and this is where the magic happens, you can segment based on employment data. If you know a supporter works for a specific company that has a history of matching gifts or volunteer time off, you need to tag that record. If you know they work for a company that offers these grants, you shouldn't be sending them a generic newsletter. You should be sending them direct instructions on how to access those funds. It's about being data-driven, not just hopeful. Now, that leads us into the second strategy, building the content ecosystem. It is not enough to just mention this once at an orientation. You need to create and share content that demystifies the process. You need to be the educator here. When you do this well, you are strengthening the connection with the volunteer. You're validating their time. You're telling them, your time is so valuable, your company wants to pay for it. So what kind of content are we talking about? First, you need to name drop. Seriously, highlight the top companies that have these programs. We're talking about massive players like Microsoft, Disney, Allstate, Dell, Aetna. If you have supporters working there, they need to know their employer is on board. Another huge piece of the puzzle is tools. You can't expect a volunteer to go dig through their HR handbook from 2015. You need to make it easy. There are tools out there like the Volunteer Grant Database from Double the Donation. You can offer this interactive tool right on your site. You direct the audience there, they type in their company name, and boom, it tells them if they're eligible and what the criteria are. And don't forget the social proof. Share those testimonials. I want you to find a volunteer who successfully submitted a grant request, and I want you to interview them. The message, "Hey, I volunteered for 20 hours, I filled out a form, and my company sent a check for $500, is powerful. Also, use visuals. People scroll past text. If you're using a tool like Double the Donation, they actually have pre-made graphic templates you can use. You can log in, grab a template, slap your branding on it, and you have a professional email header or social post ready to go. Okay, strategy number 3. This is the big one. This is the Omnichannel Blitz. There is no single silver bullet platform. You can't just put this on your website and hope people find it. You have to be where they are. Let's walk through the channels, starting with your website. Yes, you need a dedicated page, a central hub. It should explain what these grants are, how to apply, and ideally, it should have that database search tool embedded right there. But don't just hide it in the footer. Put it on your Ways to Give hub. You might even want to combine your matching gifts page and your volunteer grants page into one massive workplace giving resource. Next up, social media. This is great for awareness. You can do polls, for example. Does your company pay for your volunteer hours? Yes, no, I don't know. That engages people. I saw this great example from a youth and community organization. They took to Facebook just to celebrate a grant they received. They publicly thanked the grant-giving institution and explained what the money would be used for. That does 2 things. It makes the company feel good, and it signals to every other follower, "Oh, wait, I can do that too?" Then you've got email and text messaging. For email, use those segments we talked about. Send a newsletter with a step-by-step walkthrough. For text messaging, keep it short. Did you know your volunteer hours could be worth money? Check if your company matches here. And drop the link. It's direct, it's quick. But here is the secret weapon. And I think this is the most underutilized tactic in the book, the volunteer sign-up form. Think about it. When is a volunteer most engaged? When they are signing up, they are excited, they are filling out their info. There is this animal welfare nonprofit that absolutely crushed this. They integrated employment questions directly into their volunteer application. So, as you're typing in your name and phone number, it asks, who is your employer? And do they offer workplace giving? By getting that data up front, the nonprofit knew exactly who to target before the volunteer even showed up for their first shift. That is proactive. That is smart. And one last thing on channels, paid advertising. I know, budgets are tight. But remember, Google and Microsoft offer ad grants for nonprofits. You can get free spending. You can target people searching for corporate volunteering or volunteer grants and drive that qualified traffic right to your site. If you don't know how to set that up, there are consultants like the team at Getting Attention who specialize in Google grants. It's worth looking into. All right, moving on to our fourth and final strategy, the one-off corporate partnership. Sometimes you need to go big. Most of your supporters might work for companies with established programs, but sometimes you can build a bespoke relationship. I'll tell you a quick story about the Central Texas Food Bank. They are a massive agency serving 21 counties. They have had a relationship with the tech giant Oracle for nearly 3 decades. Recently, Oracle awarded the food bank a $35,000 grant. Why? Because Oracle employees contributed nearly 3,000 volunteer hours inspecting and packing food. See the connection there? It wasn't just, here's a check. It was, our people are showing up, so the company is showing up. It fostered this deep sense of exclusivity and support. The employees feel proud. The nonprofit gets the labor and the capital. So look at your data. Do you have 10 volunteers all coming from the same local bank or tech firm? Reach out to that company. Pitch a partnership. Use that volunteer data as your leverage. Now you might be thinking, why does this matter right now? I've been seeing this pattern in nonprofit behavior where we are afraid to ask too much of our volunteers. We think, oh, they're already giving up their Saturday morning to paint the fence. I can't ask them to fill out a form, too. But that is the wrong mindset. Most people volunteer because they want to make a difference. They want to solve the problem. If you tell them, hey, spending 5 minutes filling out this form with your HR department will buy us enough paint for the next 3 years, do you think they're going to be annoyed? No. They're going to be empowered. You aren't giving them a chore. You're giving them a superpower. You are showing them how to amplify their impact without opening their own wallet. I saw a health nonprofit that built out this incredible online resource with a step-by-step guide on how to request a grant. They didn't just say, do it. They showed them how. And they listed statistics showing how common these programs are. They normalized it. That's what we need to do. We need to normalize the idea that volunteering and funding are linked. So let's recap what we covered today. First, segment your marketing. Don't treat a long-time volunteer the same way you treat a prospect. Use employment data if you have it. Second, build a content ecosystem. Use tools like double the donation, share testimonials, and use visuals to explain the process. Third, go omnichannel, but specifically look at your volunteer intake forms. Are you capturing employer data at the moment of sign-up? If not, fix that. And fourth, look for those big partnership opportunities. If you have a cluster of volunteers from one company, leverage that into a grant, just like the Central Texas Food Bank did with Oracle. Here's my challenge to you for this week. I don't want you to try to overhaul your entire marketing strategy overnight. I want you to do one thing. Go look at your Ways to Give page or your volunteer sign-up page. Just look at it. Does it mention corporate volunteer grants? Is there a search tool? Is there even a sentence about it? If not, add it. Start there. Start with one conversation because the money is there. The companies want to give it. The volunteers want to help you get it. You just have to build the bridge. Thanks for listening to the Nonprofit Accelerator. Check out matchinggifts.com for more. Go out there and leverage the power of workplace giving. Till next time, I'm Josh. Take care and keep building the foundation for fully utilizing workplace giving.